We are in danger in the West of abandoning our culture, of leaving our great foundational stories to die on the altar of our inquisitiveness, cynicism, and carelessness, of degenerating into nihilism or returning in a reactionary manner to an archaic and destructive tribalism of the right or the left. It matters not. These twin dread paths will not lead us to where we would want to be if we decided to be conscious and careful. Such abandonment will weaken us fatally as individuals. It will lay us open to possession by all manner of demonic conceptual alternatives. It will make us vulnerable to our enemies within and without. It is psychologically true that each of us should open ourselves up to the tragedy of being. It is psychologically true that we should pick up our tragic burdens and crosses, die continually, and renew our souls continually. It may be more than psychologically true as well. It may be a truth of cosmic significance. That is the death and resurrection celebrated by Easter, and it is time for us to wake up, become conscious, and recognize it as such. It is not possible to encapsulate within any finite written account the total import of the idea of Christ's death and rebirth. The impossible claim of the bodily resurrection of one man, conjoined with the notion that this event was both of world-redeeming and cosmic significance, simply cannot be understood once and for all within any singular frame of interpretation. Even for die-hard atheists of the scientific type, think Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris, a great mystery remains. Why has this strange and thoroughly implausible story exercised such immense impact? It is because each life is a tragedy tainted by malevolence. It is because life is suffering, as we all are, each of us vulnerable and ignorant, made all too frequently bitter, resentful, and angry because of just that, and more than willing to make things worse in that anger. But we all admire courage and the accompanying willingness to abide by the truth, no matter how terrible, in the face of that suffering. We all recognize in such courage and truth, at least by our admiration of it, an antidote to the catastrophe of life. We all know that in the absence of such courage and truth, mere catastrophe degenerates all too frequently into hell. Imagine that acceptance of vulnerability and ignorance is the precondition for growth. Imagine that confrontation with the terrible unknown, with its paralyzing manifestations of tragedy and malevolence, is necessary to catalyze both wisdom and maturity. Imagine, finally, that human consciousness plays some central and as of yet poorly understood role in the reality of the cosmos, at least as necessary observer. Imagine all of that. Then ask yourself, what is the absolute hypothetical limit of human attainment when vulnerability and ignorance are fully and completely accepted, when the unknown is squarely confronted, and when consciousness is given its due as the very center of the world? That's Christ's acceptance of the crucifix. That's his willingness to be betrayed, subject to the evil of his closest companions and the state, and his embrace of brokenness and death.